Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. It is hard to tell what is more dangerous to American democracy at the moment, the big lie or the big delusion. The key question emerging from the alternate reality the right has been constructing for years is what to do with the lies the people will themselves into believing. Now, that question has loomed over us a long time. It presented itself, for one instance, when Republican Senator James Inhofe of Oklahoma, a famous climate crank, brought a snowball on the Senate floor as proof there was no global warming. You had to ask yourself, was Inhofe lying? The snow was proof there was no global warming? Or was he delusional and actually believes that? And which is worse? And does it even matter? The alternate reality on the right has gotten crazier, more intense over time. It was cultivated around climate for a while, and then President Barack Obama's birth certificate and voter fraud. Remember the Acorn Panic? And it grew even more intense, of course, around the cult of Donald Trump and the subsidiary cult of QAnon, with its expectation of a coming moment of cataclysm, when the damned shall be punished and exiled and the saved shall inherit the earth. The big delusion, believing in the alternate reality, has now become the unifying litmus test around the 2020 election for the Republican Party. That delusion, that lie, whichever it is a sustained assault on American democratic legitimacy on all fronts. It is being engineered in part by the discredited loser who was exiled to Mar-a-Lago, whose contributions and thoughts are so lame, so boring, so basic that he shut down his blog after less than a month because no one would read it. Of course, why would they? Trump ordered his team Tuesday to put the blog out of its misery, advisors said. And yet, in the same way that, say, cult members might follow a self-described prophet who seems like an obvious crank to outsiders, the people inside the movement are true believers. And that's where we are right now, except the movement is one of two of America's two major political parties. One half of the viable political coalitions we have. According to multiple reports, Donald Trump believes he will be, quote, reinstated as president by August. That is, of course, flatly ludicrous. It is not that different from saying that the world will end on August 1st or that I will turn into a dragon on Father's Day. But it is driving the sustained assault on our democracy. Yesterday, we told you about the diehard Trump supporter in the Pennsylvania State Senate, Doug Mastriano. He's an elected official, and he traveled to Arizona to learn about their ongoing, ridiculous, toxic ballot audit because he wants to bring it back to his home state.
Do you plan to replicate this process in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, if we do an audit in Pennsylvania, and we got a lot of issues in Pennsylvania,
right?
We need to do an audit, and this is the process to follow right here. I mean, this is the model.
This effort to reverse engineer an overturning of the election is starting to spread. And the exiled, disgraced ex-president is following along closely, of course. The Washington Post reports he is increasingly consumed with the notion that ballot reviews pushed by his supporters around the country could prove that he won, according to people familiar with his comments. That obsession is leading him to believe another ludicrous figure, the MAGA pillow guy, remember him, who's taking credit for planting the seeds of the idea of the August restoration, which, to be fair, he kind of did.
The election of 2020 is going bye-bye. It was an attack by another country, communism coming in. I don't know what they're going to do with it after they pull it down, but it's
but hang on a second.
Hold on. Donald Trump will be back in office in August.
Okay. Here I am midway through my monologue, and it's almost too ridiculous to describe, to even say out loud here in front of the camera to you. The ex-president really believes he will be reinstated by August. Okay, and I believe I can fly. But this is where we are. I mean, this is where we are, the influence of this figure, again, who has no formal power anymore. He can't even sustain a blog that people read, has become a kind of avatar, a stand-in for a bunch of impulses that already existed, that are so profoundly disconnected from the rest of American politics. I mean, people in the Republican Party and conservative movement are still beating down the door to get his approval as he slips further into his dangerous delusion, having already struck what could have been a near-fatal blow to American democracy. Because if you want to have a future in one of the two, again, we've got two major political parties, and if you want to have a future in one of them in this country, everyone understands you have to suck up, even if that means running on a platform of Donald Trump is right, my father is a huge loser.
Thanks also to Texas Land Commissioner George P. Bush for being here. Where's George? Where is George? Come here, George. This is the only Bush that likes me. This is the only one. Come here. I want to meet you. He's a friend of my son, and he's a great guy. Truly, this is the Bush that got it right. Thank you very much.
So that's George Prescott Bush. He's the son of Jeb Bush. He's there with Donald Trump in April 2019. Now, he's got big ambitions, right? The younger Bush is now running for Texas Attorney General. And his campaign is literally handing out beer koozies emblazoned with that moment. The quote, the image of the handshake, this is the only Bush that likes me. This is the Bush that got it right. I like him. Do you remember how Donald Trump destroyed your father in the 2016 election? Low energy Jeb. So the campaign is, hi, I'm George P. Bush. My father absolutely sucks. Please vote for me. I mean, I guess, it's politics. You got to do what you got to do. But oof, I keep thinking people are going to hit their levels of humiliation. But I don't know, maybe they all got a weird fetish for it. Now, of course, as we watch this develop, the question is what the other half of viable political coalitions in the country do. What do Democrats do? What does the day-to-day functioning of American democracy look like under this dark cloud when they are entrusted by the majority to make it function? And there are a lot of pressing normal things that need to get done. Fighting climate change, repairing infrastructure, creating a kind of care economy that works for people, the infrastructure bill. There are also the abnormal lengths that must be gone to in parallel to safeguard American democracy against the wickedness of this growing delusion. Because the idea the election was going to be overturned for Donald Trump on January 6th, that was also delusional. And look what happened.